In our first story, the National Commission for Civic Education has condemned the shooting incident recorded in the Ashanti region involving the Hawks, the party militia group affiliated to the NDC. Well, we know that the incident also claimed one life. According to the NCCE boss, Josephine Nkrumah, her outfit will continue to condemn, name and shame all political parties who endorse or support any of these groups until the groups are disbanded in word and in deed. We'll bring you the latest news reports by Ifwa Evans-Chinnery.
The NCC has consistently campaigned against the operations of political party thugs in the country, warning that the danger they pose to our democracy cannot be overemphasized. The NCC said it has observed a growing trend of violence that is becoming a brand of by-elections, referencing the violent attacks and shootings at the by-elections at the Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. Speaking at a press briefing to address the recent clashes by a pro-NDC militia group in Kumasi, NCC boss Josephine Nkrumah says it is regrettable to note that despite repeated calls to end this, politicians continue to downplay the NCC's warning but rather embolden these violent groups.
The Commission has consistently alerted political actors and political leaders on the dangers these thugs pose to the security of our country. It is regrettable to note that despite these repeated calls, political leaders and politicians of influence continue to downplay the NCC's warnings and that of other concerned institutions and personalities to end political party vigilantism, but rather make pronouncements that further embolden these violent groups who are mostly used to fulfill the parochial and political interests of politicians. Every citizen of Ghana has the right to security as enshrined under the provisions of human rights in our 1992 Constitution. And the Commission holds the view that the activities of these political hoodlums, backed, endorsed, or sponsored by political parties, are an abuse of our rights.
She says although her outfit is planning to undertake a national dialogue to deal with this situation, Ghanaians must continue to speak against these acts.
Active citizenship cannot be exercised in meaningful ways if people fear for their safety. The Commission calls on all Ghanaians, business entities, religious groups, media, trades union, academia, students, civil society organizations, leaders of all institutions, including right-thinking politicians, to rise up and speak against political parties and political leaders with political party-affiliated thugs or groups attached to them.
Madam Josephine Nkrumah further stated that the NCC anticipates that recommendations by the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry into the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election will strengthen and empower security agencies to operate optimally.
Police have meanwhile named 8 more persons wanted in connection with a shooting incident at the NDC party's office, and well, we know that this also resulted in 1 person being killed. The latest names also bring to 12 the number of suspects wanted in connection with the crime. A statement issued by the police added photos of some of these suspects and appealed to the public to help trace their whereabouts. The statement, signed by Public Relations Officer ASP Godwin Ahianyo, appealed to the general public to volunteer information that would lead to the arrest of the perpetrators for swift investigation and prosecution. Well, subsequently, we've also had some investigations ongoing by the Ghana Police Service, and according to the statement, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is announcing for the information of the general public the suspect declared wanted for their involvement in the shooting incident, and their names in the statement have been indicated as Hussein Barry alias Warrior, Mijima Damos, and Abu Taliban. The following suspects have also been mentioned during police investigations: Sunday Mohammed alias Commando, Wayo Element, Jaru, as well as Petit, Akon, Faiz, Malam, and Rock. Attached, according to the statement, were photographs of some of the suspects to be published on various media platforms in order to afford the public the opportunity to identify them when seen in communities of abode. The general public, in conclusion, is again urged to assist the police by volunteering information that could lead to the arrest of the perpetrators for swift prosecution, as investigations are ongoing by the police. And away from that, members of parliament are asking the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to lay out a clear plan on how he intends to deal with Ghana's security challenges when he appears before the House to prevent a State of the Nation address. They are also asking him to lay out a clear plan on how he intends to deal with the depreciation of the cedi, which minority spokesperson on finance, Kesia Latuforsen, says is getting out of hand.
Thank you. Tomorrow will be the third time His Excellency the President will present his message of the State of the Nation to all of us of the state. Basically, I expect the President to be truthful to the people of this country by telling us the true state of our economy, in the sense that we are witnessing a rapid depreciation of our currency to the extent that investors are panicking, businessmen are scared, and what is actually happening is going to affect inflation going forward. Today, we are saying the prices of goods and services more or less have stabilized, but that stability cannot be sustained if the cedi is not actually put in check. You see the seasonality end December and early January. We are in February. There shouldn't be any seasonal element in the depreciation of the currency. Today we are seeing the cedi depreciating above 4 to 5%. I expect the President to communicate in a way that will give assurance to the investor community, those who are buying our bonds, those who are actually sending capital outside our shores. And that is very important. And this should be a mixture of fiscal policy and monetary policy communication. That is what I expect from His Excellency the President. Failure to do it, or if he is to say anything negative, contrary to what we expect him to say, the cedi can slip even further.
Relatedly, the Information Minister, Kujo Nkrumah, says the President will address the issue of the economy.
Subsequent to those 2 years, we have a lot of clarity on what is ahead of us in the next 2 years, and he will be speaking to the specifics of the last 2 years and the next 2 years ahead of us.
Particularly on the economy, the cedi is a big issue. It's continuous depreciation, your colleagues on the minority side say. What can you expect him to say on that?
The currency of any country is a major matter of interest and a major tool for that economy. And the President will speak to the economy as a whole and the key parts of the economy, including matters that affect the pockets of Ghanaians.
Yeah, they make the point, the ranking on the Finance Committee, that he wants to hear something that will boost the confidence of investors, because there's capital flight out of the country which is leading to that. Will they get that?
There's scores of other things that many other people also want to hear. And so we'll wait to hear the President as he outlines the many other things that people want to hear him speak about. It's not about what you, Joseph, want to hear, or what I, Kojo, want to hear, or what one person on the majority or the minority side wants to hear. It's about what message the people of Ghana need to hear from the President of the Republic, and he will do well to highlight all of those key issues.
Well, away from the issues of the economy and politics and the State of the Nation address, the Discover Hospital morgue in the Western region is having to preserve bodies on bare floors because fridges at the facility have since been damaged. The bodies are only embalmed, kept on the floor and released to the families for burial. Residents are worried about the lack of fridges at the only morgue in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. Henry Kwesibedu visited the hospital and reports.
The Nana Himadechi Health Facility at Discove is the only referral hospital in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. The facility provides clinical care to a population well over 120,000. Among the many challenges of the hospital is a lack of refrigerators at the morgue. Here, after embalming, bodies are kept on the floor rather than in the refrigerators. Ajay Afram has been working in this facility for more than 10 years.
Back in the day when we had a functioning morgue, our work was easy. We simply embalmed the dead bodies and then kept them in the fridges. We used to record many vehicle accident cases, and we kept the bodies here before postmortem by doctors. The Discove morgue no longer gets emergency or accident cases because our fridges have been spoiled for a very long time. Due to our current situation, most people who die here are transported to Takrady. People figured out we put the bodies on the floor, so they do not bring the bodies here. There are a lot of prominent people in the area, and they won't like to see bodies of their dead relatives on the floor.
I meet
Kweku Dapa, who has his deceased father's remains at the Himadechi mortuary. He tells me his grief intensifies seeing his late father's body lie on the bare floor.
My father got ill and was admitted at the hospital for just 2 days and eventually died. His body was brought to the morgue and morticians explained that it will be embalmed and then kept on the floor.
No, because you beside the fridge in your man was a fridge in your barman.
We had no other option because we couldn't afford the cost of transferring the body to another facility. It was heartbreaking upon hearing that his body would be put on the floor. The pain of his death has intensified as we saw him on the bare floor, stripped of all his dignity. When you get into the mortuary, there are a lot of bodies on the floor. We are appealing to the government to help repair these fridges because it is unpleasant and disheartening to see them on the bare floor. The government and the health ministry must help us. We, the residents of Discove, are suffering.
The hospital's administrator, Bernard Mensah, retraced the facility has been in this situation for the past 3 years and explains all efforts to get refrigerators fixed have proven futile.
From 2015, in fact, the machines were constantly breaking down because it's been existent for a long time. So it was constantly breaking down. So, but it breaks down, we repair. It breaks down, we repair. But in fact, the cost of repairing the machines is huge. So in 2016, in fact, we decided that in fact, it is not cost effective to continue repairing, so we shut it down. So since 2016 up to date, the machines, the fridges have not been working. So just embalmment, we need embalmment. So we do proper embalmment and then we keep the bodies at the mortuary. We have a major problem with our theater.
The Director of Operations at National Security has named some members of pro-NDC militia group, the Hawks, as persons who may have caused the violence that marred the recently held Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. Colonel Michael Opoku told the Justice Emil Short Commission one of the individuals arrested by his men who were on a mission to retrieve arms from a house in the area is a known member of the vigilante group. The owner of that house, the NDC's parliamentary candidate in the election, Delali Kwesi, who also testified before the commission, also described these as false, claiming that the arms were being stockpiled in his residence. There's more in the following reports.
For more than 3 minutes, the Director of Operations at the National Security Secretariat, Michael Opoku, was showed videos of alleged brutalities meted out by his men.
with more beatings before setting off. The voting center is deserted while officers try to secure the ballot box and voting materials.
But he would describe the video as doctored and not a reflection of the events of the day.
This video doesn't follow the sequence of events as we all knew it on the first day. If anybody can get the first day video, you see this one is a doctored video.
He, however, confirmed the men seen in the tape are employees of the National Security Secretariat.
The men I saw are part of the SWAT and the operatives that form the patrol team.
The mask used by the National Security SWAT team during the visit to the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency has also come in various testimonies before the commission. The SWAT commander DSP Azugu had told the commission it was either for mosquito protection or to hide identity, but could not tell the exact reason for its use on the day in question. The director of operations gave some explanation.
Okay, the mask, as my DSP said, was mosquito, but it wasn't for mosquitoes. I think it was just a joke that he made. But we normally mask to ensure that our operatives are not seen. And in this situation, those who were masked, that was the essence. We didn't want their cover to be blown.
He also revealed to the commission his men were not only monitoring the house belonging to the NDC parliamentary candidate.
Oponglo, skill training area, warehouse around La Baliwashi, and Elkin Hotel. Elkin Hotel.
He said one of the arrested individuals has been captured in various posts on the internet as a leader of pro-NDC militia group, the Hawks.
I saw one huge person, and I was told he's the leader of the Hawks vigilante group. I actually Googled the picture, and I saw that he was the leader of the Hawks. He's the face of Hawks on internet. There's some huge man you see at the back, Hawks, fair. He was one of those who are arrested.
The failure of the SWAT team to breach the facility where arms were allegedly being kept has been questioned by the commission. The director of operations, however, insisted his men were right in aborting the mission.
And I think they used the last principle of preventing what was happening into degenerating into a worse situation. After all, we had information about these weapons that were going into the house from within them, and we will get the weapons at the appropriate time.
The commission asked that he returns to continue his testimony on Monday, since he had made reference to some videos the commission wants to have access to before they continue with proceedings. The NDC's parliamentary candidate Delali Brempong was the next to testify. His lawyers asked that they are allowed to cross-examine other witnesses that have already testified.
Wanted to reserve the right to re-examine our own witness after he has given his evidence and been cross-examined by counsel for the commission, and then subsequently to call any other witness who has given evidence before the commission that touches upon and concerns our client.
The commission deferred its ruling. Mr. Brempong described as false claims some weapons were being kept in his house.
I have no evidence at all before I left my house, after I have returned, and with all the accounts and the people I knew coming to my house, bringing any arms at all into my house.
He rather said there was evidence of multiple shots fired from outside his premises.
There was evidence of 15 gunshots.
The commission will resume its proceedings on Monday.
Well, that's it for the latest news update. Please know that there's a special edition of the show, and of course, we're going to transition to a whole coverage of the President Nana Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address. Please stay with us. We'll be back with more.